secure pieces together, you could do that. And this particular tool comes in many different sizes. So this is a relatively small screwdriver, and they have very small ones up to very large ones where they would be longer and this metal piece would be thicker. So it all just depends on whatever project that you are doing and the size of the screw that you're working with. So that is that screwdriver. And then we have another screwdriver. And if you can see here, this is a star-shaped type of design. It's called a Phillips head screwdriver. And this screwdriver also, just the same as the first one that we saw, comes in all different shapes and sizes, all different lengths, different durabilities, but they all have this type of tip on the end, and it is used with this type of screw where it has the cross shape and it fits in and it holds a little bit more securely than the straight screwdriver does. Sometimes because there is not that cross hatch, the screwdriver could sometimes slide out, but this one is much more fit and snug into the screw head, and that's why it's made like this. It allows for greater torque and less slipping than the straight screwdriver. And if you can see here, this particular screw, that cross hatch could actually accommodate a straight screwdriver also. So sometimes you can use either one with the Phillips head, but this is definitely a more durable way to use this. And again, you would go counterclockwise and the screw would go deeper into whatever material that you're screwing into. And the idea is the same as with the straight screw, that you would be fastening two pieces together. So that is the other screwdriver that we have here. And then we have another tool, and this is called an Allen wrench. And this is actually a whole set of Allen wrenches. One individual Allen wrench would be just this design also allows for tighter and more strong torque and less stripping because of the better grip. And this is a whole set that you could use on many different Allen head bolts. And let's see what else you have here. So we will look at this first. So this is called a ratchet, or some people call it a socket wrench. And this is a socket. And there are many different shapes and sizes of this. Different sizes, different head designs. So you would have to look to see whatever bolt that you're trying to tighten or loosen would have the proper size and shape. These come in different sizes and also will come in longer or shorter. And these also come in different sizes. This is a very small ratchet. You can have small ones like this or very large. So one end of this will attach to the head of this ratchet, and there is a little ball in here that holds it. So in order to get this on, there's a button that you push back here. You push it and it will release that ball, and it allows you to slide this on. And then when you release it on the back, it holds it on here so that you can use this and it won't fall off. There's also a lever here, and this lever goes back and forth whether you want to be putting a bolt in and tightening it, or if you're trying to loosen it. And how this works, instead of just going in one direction where you are manually turning something, this one, the tool kind of works with you, where you go in one direction and then it will ratchet, allow you to go back without making a full revolution. And that's that little sound that it's making when it's ratcheting. And then you would be tightening or loosening on the opposite rotation. And like I said, if you wanted to loosen or tighten, you would just change this to change the direction of which way you're going. And the type of bolt that this would use is something like this. You would have to check to see that this fits on there so that you can make a good connection and be able to tighten or loosen. And these all come in different sizes, and the size is actually printed on here. This one is a standard size. It comes in a variation of inches, which this is 11/32, and there's also millimeter ones, so 9 or 11 millimeter, whatever, and it will be printed right on there. And you'll always know what size it is that you're using, what you need, because it's printed, and also a lot of times is a different color. So that is that one. And then we have some wrenches, different varieties of wrenches, and these are also used with bolts like the socket and pliers I see here. And this one is a slip joint plier. So there is a little pin here with an opening on each side, and you can slide it back and it changes the opening size of the plier, and that one is more narrow. So a little bit of diversity with this one. This will be good for maybe gripping, bending things. You can grab bolts with this also. There are teeth inside here, so it is a diverse tool as well. There are other ones that have a more flat head that don't have these teeth inside that might be good for maybe cutting things. And then this one is called needle nose pliers. It's very long, thin tips on them, and this one is good for fitting into small places and maybe stripping or bending some wires, things like that, for maybe electrical work, something like that. It has these grip handles for comfort and anti-slipping, and when you release them they open up automatically. When you pinch it, it closes. So this would be very good to fit into a small spot. And then we have here a hammer and nails. So this tool is called a hammer. It works with these types of fasteners. So we have a few different nails. This